After quite a banger of an opening, I could finally feel the grime of Fallout wash over me. The descent into the vault acted as a transition into the Fallout world. People everywhere were in despair. You can immediately tell that something was up. This was Vault Tech after all. What else was I to expect? I gladly accepted the free clothes, and I did my best to snoop around before I was eventually led away. And against my better judgment, I even entered the death tube. And to absolutely nobody's surprise except my character, I was immediately put on ice. And during what I can imagine was the world's worst nap, I was rudely woken up to see a scene that actually made me flinch.
Open it.
I'm okay.
Almost. Everything's going to be fine.
Calm. No, I got him.
Let the boy go. I'm only going to tell you once.
I'm not giving you Sean.
Murderer?
Now, I'll be honest, I knew something was going to happen, but I have to admit I was very taken aback by that scene. As my character was put back on ice, I knew I'd run into Mr. Hand Cannon in the future, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I was looking forward to killing him. Unaware of how much time had even passed and pretty chilled to the bone, I was forced to witness a very heartbreaking moment.
There has to be a release. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, God! I'll find who did this, and I'll get Sean back. I promise.
But without a moment to mourn, I looked for any clues to figure out where and when I was. The place looked like it had been through hell, and I'm pretty sure I just saw a giant cockroach. I was able to locate a terminal, but all it told me was that Vault Tech were a bunch of scumbags, and a majority of the workers here had no idea that this was a cryo vault. Finding myself a gun, I pressed forward. Those giant cockroaches were no longer a threat now that I was packing. I made my way through the vault and cleared out all of the remaining threats. After a few closed doors, I finally found the vault entrance, as well as my very own Pip-Boy. The previous owner doesn't seem to mind that I'm taking it. It's a little dusty, but it works. And with the power of the Pip-Boy, I was able to get the big door rolling. With the light of the sun blinding me, I walked forward with determination. I would find my son. I would kill my wife's murderer. And I would look like a total fool when I forgot that we came down in a giant elevator. After a good laugh, I prepared for my grand re-entrance into the world after the bombs fell. And I was left a bit speechless. The colorful life my character was used to had been replaced by twisted metal and chaos. I hate to say it, but the view is almost enjoyable. And with nowhere to go, I decided to return home. Maybe there I could come up with some sort of plan. And to my genuine surprise, it seems that our dear family robot Codsworth even survived the bombs. After a bit of talking, he was able to inform me that over 200 years had passed since we had descended. He began to ask some, well, awkward questions. And instead of making it more awkward, we decided to go for a tour of the neighborhood. You know, I really did try to let the guy down softly. He actually seems to care about my family. And considering what we all know about Fallout games, it's kind of pleasant knowing that I have an ally here. After a bit more conversation, Codsworth suggested I go to the nearest town of Concord and start my investigation there. Apparently, they will only maybe shoot me. We said our goodbyes, and I made my way. One last check of my map, and a quick, delicious sip of non-radiated creek runoff water.
You just gotta puddle it in real close. That's all. Make sure when you puddle it in, you're not puddling in all the radiation stuff.
My first stop was the local Red Rock gas station. But as I approached, I saw movement. I drew my weapon and I was ready for a fight. When again, to my surprise, I was greeted by a friendly face. Look at this dude! I was more than happy to have the companionship. I am totally in love with this dog. Yeah, it was adorable, but it could also find items for me, as well as alert me to enemies. This was pretty cool, not gonna lie. Things were definitely looking my way. With a boost to my character's confidence, as well as a brand new friend, we both carried onward to Concord. Still taking in the sights of a post-nuclear attacked world, it really did amaze me that anything could have survived, let alone how much would change. I mean, giant roaches, mosquitoes the size of my dog. I wonder what other mutated monsters await Barnibus. Finally reaching Concord, you could immediately hear gunshots in the distance. Now, either this was a bad neighborhood or something really big was going down. A group of about 10 people were laying siege to a building, and one man stood atop defending it. Something told me I should intervene and help the man. Call it intuition, or call it a simple look down at my HUD, but I knew one way or the other I had to get into that building. Dogmeat and I charged in, making quick work of the remaining enemies. After, the man yelled and suggested I grab the rifle left below and enter the building. As I grabbed a new hat, I admired my new laser cannon and prepared for round 2. Inside was more of the same, but with the help of my dope-ass laser rifle, Dogmeat and I made our way through the museum, dispatching all of the remaining raiders and making our way to the group of defenders. And again, as though to the game's design, I had run into another friendly group of people. However, it seems this time they could actually use some help. After some conversation, I learned the leader, Preston, he was doing his best to get his people to safety, but with a lot of difficulty. He explained his situation, how genuinely desperate they were. And Barnibus was a good man. I was more than happy to help. Another survivor informed me of a weapon I could use to dispatch of the remaining raiders. But before I could go any further, a sweet old drug addict pulled me aside and claimed she could see my future. She was harmless, so I played along. She seemed really sweet. She told me that Dogmeat could tell I was a good person, and that there was a dangerous foe that I would soon face off against.
What do you mean? Death? Claw? What are you saying?
What she told me I brushed off as the possible ramblings of a drug-addled Looney Tune. All I could remember was that I needed to clear out the remaining bad guys. So, with a pep in my step, Dogmeat and I got to work. As we made our way down the street, the battle raged on. The raiders seemed more hardened to fight. I was happy to take them on. But I couldn't shake the words that Mama Murphy had told me. And more important, when was this horrible monster supposedly gonna show itself?
Claws and teeth and horns. The very face of death itself.
Whoa!
Oh, well, there's my answer.
Oh shit! This is happening right now.
Hey everybody, did the news get around about a guy named Butcher Pete? Old Pete just flew into this town and he's chopping up all the women's meat. He's hacking and whacking and smacking,